Join us on Tomorrow's World today as we journey through the worlds of inspiration, creation, innovation, and production to find the ideas and technologies that are shaping our future. In this episode, we visit the world of production to explore how material science is changing the way we build. From Inventionland World Headquarters, here's your host, George Davison.
Have you ever wondered who invented Post-it notes? It all started with a lab discovery of a repositionable adhesive, something that you could stick to a surface, but could also peel away easily. Two scientists, Spencer Silver and Art Fry, they worked together to turn this discovery into a product. That was in 1968, and it's still part of our everyday lives today. Believe it or not, that discovery has actually led to products that are used in the construction industry. I'm sending Greg to 3M to explore how they're innovating adhesives and other technologies for building protection in construction.
Thanks, George. I'm here at Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. Now, if you've ever seen a building under construction, you've probably noticed it wrapped in some kind of material before either the siding or other exterior goes up. Well, I'm going to meet with Mark Lund and Ryan Fenstermaker. They're from 3M. We're going to discuss three specific products: air and vapor barriers, fire barriers, and insulation moisture barriers, and the role that each of these might play in a new construction project. Hi, guys.
Hey, Greg.
Hi,
How are
Ryan.
you?
Hi, Greg. Mark, nice to see you. Okay, gentlemen, so air and vapor barriers. I know that they're really important when it comes to a building's energy efficiency. What more can you tell me about what we're seeing about this product behind us?
So at 3M, what we do to protect buildings is we draw from our material science expertise to come up with smart building science solutions. So here with the air barrier, what we're doing is utilizing our advanced acrylic technology that can be applied directly to the substrates without the need for a primer, and also can be installed at low temperatures so construction projects can keep going through the winter.
Okay, well, how would that be applied?
Sure, so in this case, EDA contractor would have started at the top of the building, applied a roll of the 3M material, rolled the product down, and sequenced the material side by side to create the total enclosure that stops the flow of unwanted air.
Okay, so this is how you do it when you're on site. What about if you're not?
Yeah, here in Newark, they're applying the product to a wall that's built in place, but we actually have a customer right now who's applying the air barrier to a pre-constructed panel for a hospital project. Let's go check it out.
Thanks, Mark.
So Greg, you saw how the product is applied in the field. I wanted to give you a closer look now at how some of our customers apply the air barrier product to a prefabricated panel.
Now, what are the benefits of doing this here as opposed to out in the field?
Yeah, here we're in a controlled environment so they can really maximize efficiencies and productivities.
And I imagine weather's not a factor here either.
Definitely no threats of weather delays inside. Wanted to introduce you to Andrew from Eastern Exterior Wall Systems.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Andrew.
Welcome to Eastern. We're standing here in our framing jigs. This is where all the panels start their life, and from here I can show you the rest of the process.
Lead the way.
So this is step 2 in the process. You can see the guys applying the air vapor barrier on the panel. For this particular project, it's the 3M 3015 VP. The primerless membrane really does the heavy lifting for protecting the building from weather.
Right, now this looks a little bit more complicated than hanging your typical sheet of wallpaper.
Correct. You know, this is very technical in terms of the overlapping and the detailing at the corners, and these guys are the pros that do it every day.
It looks amazing. What I'm really interested in right now, though, is I'd like to see how the installation is installed.
Definitely. I'll take you this way.
So once you have the completely wrapped panel, this installation goes on. Tell me more about this.
Sure. So after the AVB is installed, we build the system up with the girts and the cross furring and the insulation.
And how thick is this?
So this is 4 inches thick, which is a lot, but it's a hospital. So the thermal performance of the enclosure is critical to keep the building hot or cool depending on the time of the year.
Because it is a hospital, it's critical to maintain the integrity of the overall building enclosure so we can preserve the internal environment. That's why working in a controlled environment in the facility here is so important.
All right, do you have a completed panel that we can take a look at?
Definitely, let's go this way. All right, so here's a fully completed panel for the Mohawk Valley Health System project up in Utica. You can see our perimeter extrusions that create our proprietary dry joint gasket system and the cladding fully installed. So when this panel comes off the truck and is brought up into the building into its final position, the facade's complete.
Okay, so how many of these will you have to put together for Utica?
So we have about 740 unique, discrete panels, each of which has its own design tag that follows it through the process of construction and installation. The design of the building is a long process. We have to work with the architect usually for about a year to establish the details that our system can deliver the design intent that the architect's looking for in a prefabricated manner. After that, our guys draw internal fabrication sketches. The fabrication sketches follow these panels through the shop to ensure that the guys know how every corner and every detail is going to be built. Once the panel makes it through that process and is reviewed properly, it's loaded on a truck and ready to be shipped to the job.
Okay, now I know that all of this gets put together into like a whole building protection system, and I want to find out more about the fire barrier protection.
Absolutely. For that, I'd like to take you to Manhattan to 50 Hudson Yards. We can really take a close look at fire barrier and how it's so essential to overall building protection.
New York, here we come.
Let's do it.
When you're in the construction industry, you have to think about how your building will be protected. We've already explored the importance of air and vapor protection, and now we're going to look at fire safety. So Ryan, here we are, the hustle and bustle of New York City. Now, I know one of the first things I think about when I think about New York is skyscrapers. But what a lot of people don't think about, something goes wrong all the way up there, you need time to get out, and that's where you guys come in.
Absolutely. That's where 3M Fire Barrier comes into play. We address three aspects of fire protection: through penetrations, construction joints, and flexible wraps.
We're gonna get a look at all of that inside.
All inside.
Are we going to the top?
We're going to the top.
Let's go. So Ryan, we made it to floor 29. It's not quite the top of the building yet. Hopefully we're still gonna get there, but why did you bring me here?
Yeah, this is a great place to show you the construction joint aspect of our fire barrier portfolio. You know, within a building like this, there's a lot of fire-rated walls and floors. And at the intersection of those two rated assemblies, there's a need to maintain that continuity so that in the event of an emergency, people can go from one space to another. In this case, you're looking at a fire-rated gypsum wall, which separates the egress stairwell from the usable space within the building. And that joint up there is protected with our FireDam Spray 200 so that we stop the passage of smoke and toxic gases and fire in an emergency.
Okay, because as we look at this big empty space, pretty soon there are gonna be maybe over 100 people working just right here, and they need to have a safe pathway out of the building in case of an emergency and they have to evacuate.
They sure do. So the application of this product maintains that seal so that we maintain a dynamic joint.
And that gives them a safe stairwell that they can get downstairs and gives them the time to do it.
That's the intent.
Okay, so now.
We're gonna look at our flexible wrap products.
All right, sounds great, let's go.
Let's go.
All right, Ryan, I know I said I wanted to get to the top of this building, and I really hope that we do, but just like everybody else, I guess we have to start at the bottom. So here we are in the basement, and what are we looking at?
Yeah, this is one of the most important aspects of fire protection. This is through penetration fire stopping. You know, this wall here is listed for the resistance of fire for 2 hours. But when you install mechanical, electrical, and plumbing penetrations through that wall, the building code requires that you maintain the integrity of the wall by way of installation of a UL-listed fire stop system.
And that's what this material is. It's basically filling in the gaps so that no smoke or fire can get through that if there is an emergency.
That's right. This is 3M's CP25WB Plus product. It's an intumescent material that's installed within the annular space around the penetrance, and in the event of a fire or heat exposure, it expands to maintain that seal.
Okay, now these don't look like regular pipes. Do these two things work together to maintain that integrity?
Yeah, this is a unique mechanical system. These are fuel oil containment pipes. This building is outfitted with emergency backup generators on the upper floors to protect them in the event of a flood and a power outage. And all of that fuel comes from the fuel tank storage room located over here, runs horizontally through these containment pipes, and then vertically to feed the generators. Because it's such a critical function, we need to protect these pipes so they operate properly. And 3M's endothermic mat product, applied in various layers around that pipe, can preserve that protection of the pipe for a 2-hour duration.
Wow, so this is basically to maintain all of the electrical systems that are necessary to keep the building going in case of emergency, so people have time to get out.
Exactly right.
All right, can we head up to one of the other floors and see how that fire barrier protection system works?
Let's go.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Ryan, we made it. 58th floor, top of the building.
Over 800 feet.
Wow, well the view of Manhattan is spectacular, but I know you didn't bring me up here just to show me the Empire State Building.
That's right. Let's go inside.
All right. So Ryan, I want to dive right into this. Tell me what these men are working on.
Yeah, this is a stairwell pressurization duct. So its primary function is to deliver fresh air to the egress corridor that we discussed earlier, so that in the event of an emergency, people can get out of the building safely.
So this is going to pump fresh air into the stairwell, which is going to both keep smoke out and then also give them a fresh supply of oxygen as they make their evacuation.
That's exactly right. And because of that, it's important this duct remain viable for a 2-hour duration. And our 3M Fire Barrier Duct Wrap 615 Plus provides that protection.
Well, how does it do that?
It provides an insulative protection around the duct so that in the event of an external fire, it can be operational.
And that will really help people to have the time to get out of the building.
Right.
All right, excellent. Well, I know that you guys are also involved pretty heavily in the new UBS Arena, and I want to see what's going on there. So can we head over?
Let's go.
When building new construction, there are a lot of factors to take into consideration. Among those would be air and vapor barriers, a really important factor when it comes to a building's energy efficiency. Fire barriers, which are a vitally important safety component should a building need to be evacuated. Right now, we're outside the UBS Arena, the new home of the New York Islanders, to find out about another important factor, insulation moisture barriers on ductwork. Well, well, well. Ryan in the penalty box. It's exactly where you belong after taking me 57 stories up in the middle of Manhattan.
That's what I get.
Man, I mean, it was a spectacular view, but that was pretty high up there.
Sure is.
Now, when you come into a building like this, ductwork is not the first thing that crosses your mind.
Sure.
Even though it's really, really important for people to hang out here.
Absolutely. In a facility of this size, it's important to have conditioned air because people are sitting in various levels all over the arena, so they want to be comfortable.
Now, I would think with all of this construction, there's got to be somebody somewhere in this building that's actually performing this process, and we can see it being done.
There actually is. Let's go to the roof.
I knew it! What is it with you and the heights? So, Ryan, this really isn't that high up. I mean, it's a really great view of the ice and everything, but it sure looks like they've got a lot to get done here.
They do. Are you a hockey fan?
Well, you know, I'm from Pittsburgh, so, you know, Penguins.
The home opener for the Islanders is fast approaching, so they actually need to get the project done rapidly.
Okay, now, we're not actually seeing somebody working on the ductwork right here. Are you going to show me that?
We are. Let's go.
All right.
So Greg, now we're up on the subroof, and this is the mechanical system that we've been talking about. This is the system that moves that air into and out of the facility. And the customer here has insulated that system with an insulation board to help preserve the temperature so the system can operate efficiently.
Okay, and now you're going to put your product on the exterior here to protect this from the elements.
Exactly. This is the 3M VentureClad Insulation Moisture Barrier product, which helps prevent that ingress of moisture into the insulation.
Okay, can we see the guys actually put this on?
We sure can. You guys ready? All right. So this VentureClad product incorporates the same acrylic adhesive that we talked about in the air vapor barrier product.
Okay, so it doesn't need a primer or any other adhesives, it just goes right on the material.
Yep, right off the roll. They can apply it to the face of the insulation. They'll smooth it out. And it'll stick right to the face of the insulation.
Seems like a pretty straightforward process.
Sure is.
So, Ryan, you said we were going to the top, but this isn't really all that high up.
We have one more stop.
You're going to tell me we're going higher, aren't we?
You know me.
All right.
You need a hand?
No, Ryan, I don't need a hand.
Just thought I'd offer.
Well, you've done enough. Thank you very much.
We're now on the roof.
The roof of the roof.
Finally, we're here.
Yeah, but well, you get a really great view of the city from here, though.
It's an awesome perk of the job, for sure.
Oh, this is a pretty great view, too. This looks pretty amazing. Tell me exactly what we're looking at here.
Yeah, this is an exhaust fan portion of the mechanical system, and it's pulling air out of the arena.
So it doesn't need insulation per se, but you still have it wrapped in your VentureClad material.
That's correct. We're at the top of the roof now, so this is exposed to the weather all the time. Snow, wind, ice, and rain, 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year.
Well, it looks like it's got a really great seal on it. There's no gaps. It almost looks like it's been sprayed on.
Yeah, they did a really great job, so that'll provide a moisture barrier for the system to preserve its operation.
Well, Ryan, thank you very much. This has been a great deep dive into what 3M does. Yeah, I mean, we looked at air and vapor barriers, fire barriers, insulation moisture barriers. It's been really great. I know Mark's going to head back to Invention Land. He's going to catch up with George. They're going to talk a little bit more, but I'm ready to get on out here. You want to show me out?
Let's go.
Hey, Mark, welcome to Invention Land.
Hi, George. Great to be here. Hey, I know you're a man of many ideas, so I brought you a bunch of Post-it notes so you don't lose any of your thoughts.
Thank you very much, Mark.
And you're a man of big ideas, too, so I brought you this gigantic Post-it note.
I think that's the biggest Post-it note I've ever seen. You know, I've been watching 3M Innovation for all these years, and you know, I've seen that repositionable adhesive that you came up with, and now you're starting into the construction industry. Thanks for sending over these 4 images. I was hoping you could tell me a little more about them.
Sure thing. So part of our building protection strategy is air barrier. So this is where Greg and I visited Newark Airport. It's said that about 30% of the energy that goes into heating and cooling a typical building is lost through the building envelope. But by putting this air barrier on here, we keep the building tight and protected from weather.
All right, what about this next one?
So this is also a barrier,
Okay.
also air barrier, but this is a different kind of construction. Rather than applying it on site, this is a prefabricated methodology of construction where modular sections of the building are erected in a controlled environment. The air barrier is applied to the panelized building structure and then is shipped to site where it's erected later. It's much faster.
So they're applying all this 3M material onto that building substrate, right? That's what you're telling me?
That's right.
And then it'll go and get shipped for fast assembly. I like that idea because then you're, you know, out of the weather more.
That's right.
How about this one?
This is the really prominent project, 50 Hudson Yards, and this is displaying the fire barrier product that's protecting this building.
Okay.
The penetrations through those fire barrier walls are a vulnerability unless we seal them back up with one of our technologies intumescent, which means that that sealant can expand when it's heated to make sure that that barrier stays intact.
So where those pipes are actually going through the wall, that's what you're referring to? That's where the expansion's going to happen?
That's right.
And what about all this shiny silver material on the top of that image? What's that all about?
This is another one of our technologies we call 3M endothermic mat.
Okay.
It actually has chemically bound water that's released when it's exposed to heat, and it cools in a chemical reaction. What it's protecting there are diesel fuel pipes that are fueling a backup generator system. And you can imagine that you wouldn't want that diesel exposed directly to the fire.
Right.
And then lastly, we visited the New York Islanders UBS Arena. This is the rooftop where the HVAC system is keeping the building conditioned. And the installation there, if it wasn't protected, would lose its insulation value. So with our protective material, we're able to keep rain and UV away from that insulation so it can do its job.
All right, so knowing 3M, things are still moving forward down there. What else is coming in the future?
You guessed right, George. So we have a really special tape that's got extreme strength, that can actually hold the architectural panels of the building on. We call it VHB, and so what I'd like you to do is first pull through this conventional section of foam tape that I'm pretty sure you'll have no problem getting through, but once you get to this lower section of VHB, I think you'll see why we're comfortable holding architectural panels on. It can take the place of screws, welds, rivets, and fasteners.
So you can have me do a challenge on TV.
That's
Thanks,
right.
Mark. I really appreciate that. All right, so here we go. Feeling good.
Standard foam tape, no problem. That's pretty strong, George.
Very nice. Mark, thanks for coming.
Thank you, George.
Safe travels. Huh. I really love that. The slogan's great. Science applied to life.
To learn more about the content in today's episode, visit us online at www.tomorrowsworldtoday.com.